So The Flash 767. This is, of course, Endless Winter Part 2. Andy Lanning and Ron Mars writing, with Clayton Henry and Marco Santucci on the art. Santucci, of course, doing the flashback at the start. He's going to carry forward into the next issue we talk about as well, because it also has a similar flashback. And we can talk about these one by one, I think, because they are very separate in terms of like what they're doing.
They are, and I appreciate that, because there's an overall story to be told with the Frost King, but we're getting each character's, so in the Flash story we get very Flash focused, and in Superman it's very Superman focused, but they both feel like they're in the same event.
Yeah,
right?
It's also nice that this one kind of is teasing the Black Adam stuff, because we know he's getting a special later, so it's kind of nice that that's kind of been teed up a little bit. But we start off with the flashback, and the flashback in this is less to do with the because the flashback in the next one, which we're going to talk about, is about the origin of the Frost King himself. This is more about the Viking era Avengers that we've got here.
Avengers. Justice League.
Oh, sorry, Justice League. Freudian slip. That's because of Jason Aaron's thing.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, it's basically Black Adam waiting in like a tavern for Hippolyta, and the
Hippolyta, Viking Prince, and
Viking Prince. I never remember what the Viking Prince name is.
Yeah,
it's just kind of the
Viking Prince.
But Black Adam is picking a fight with Viking Prince. The Swamp Thing at the time shows up and says, we don't have time for this. Stop this, cease this immediately. Because the Frost King pops up, and it's basically just like showing them having to sort of work together in their kind of uneasy alliance. Black Adam doesn't really like working with them. There's some tension there.
Yeah. He's definitely his anti-hero self. He's ordering more alcohol from the tavern,
of course,
and just kind of making a show of himself. He's very Thor-esque from early Thor stories. But I do like that it's Swamp Thing that shows up to kind of talk the sense into him, because then that plays up later, because as we get to the future, he's really the only one that's familiar with what's going on. Yeah.
And he's very withholding of it. So obviously the story does revolve around the Flash, because a part of me was wondering if it was going to just be an Endless Winter chapter and not actually, address the idea that it is a Flash issue. But no, it does actually all come from the Flash's perspective, as he's running around the world doing various things, as the Justice League are, all in different places fighting off these frost like monsters that are appearing, that the Frost King can create out of nowhere. And he's basically told to go and essentially chat to Black Adam, because Black Adam went to the UN and made an announcement that Kandak is open for refugees who feel they've been failed by the Justice League and failed by the West, and he will take people in.
It is a Black Adam move.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
Notably, he does not mention that he knows who this guy is, or he has any information on this crisis that's happening. Again, forgive the use of the word crisis. Not a crisis, just a crisis. So Flash goes to see him in Kandak, gets attacked by some frost monsters. I keep wanting to say frost giants, but they're not frost giants, so I'm being very specific.
Yeah, we'll call them ice giants.
Ice giants, there you go. Black Adam ends up saving his ass along with his team, including Silver Banshee and Catman and Multiplex, all those.
Yeah, it's a team of villains. But yeah, they're all working together to save the Flash, which is really cool.
I thought Catman shouldn't be on the team of villains.
No, not that team of villains. Him with Black Adam and Silver Banshee, I get. All right, but with the rest of them, come on, man.
I'm just saying, you got
respect for Thomas Blake.
You got some support on Twitter for calling out.
That's how I know the real ones that read Secret Six. Because if you have a lot of opinions about Catman, probably read Gale's Secret Six.
Yeah, so. I get the feeling here that in this conversation Barry has with Black Adam, because at the end of the scene, Black Adam's like, "Oh, there was some very useful information in that conversation." I get the feeling that Barry's kind of put his foot in it by like revealing too much of what's going on to Black Adam.
Here's my one issue with Endless Winter so far, is that Lanning and Mars are writing Barry a lot like Wally.
Sure. That's been kind of a problem ever since the New 52. Ever since Barry came back, there's a lot of writers who write Barry like Wally.
I mean, when they have a handle on Barry, it works real well. But most of the time, it almost feels like a Wally West impersonation. That said, it's not bad. I feel like I'm reading Wally in these moments where he's kind of stammering and giving away a little bit too much. Or even in the Endless Winter Part 1, where he's asking people about their work-life balance, that's a very Wally West question.
I think the problem is that Wally was the Flash for so long that just became the characteristics of the Flash. So you've got a lot of writers who know that version of Flash. They've been asked to write Barry. They're just writing Barry like Wally because that's the Flash they know, and that's just, unfortunately. There's a cool bit here though, because Barry is complaining throughout the issue that his Speed Force is kind of like weakening because the snow and the ice, and there's a lot of talk in this issue of hypothermia and how quickly everyone's going to die and so on and so on. But he says he's a recharge. He's running low. The lightning's getting weaker, and Black Adam's like, "Oh, lightning, you say?" And he just strikes him with lightning. He's like, "Oh, I got a recharge. Thanks."
Yeah. And for those that doubt about that, don't forget that part of the Shazam thing is speed from, whatever god. I forget who it is for Black Adam.
Mercury?
Yeah, but for Shazam, for Captain Marvel and Billy, whatever version we're calling him, it is the speed of Mercury. So I was like, no, you can make an exception there.
It's a cool moment. I'll take it.
Yeah, I like it.
But Barry does reveal that Stag Industries released the Frost King from the Arctic Circle, and it feels like at the end of the scene, Black Adam's like, oh, because he's like, we might call on you for help in this situation because goddamn, things are getting rough.
Right.
But at the end, he smiles very sinisterly and says, "Oh, I'm certain you will. Thank you for a most useful conversation." So. I'm liking the teasing of the Black Adam stuff because it feels like okay, they're planting this for later for his special, and that's kind of neat. The only thing I don't like about this issue, honestly, is that it kind of ends very abruptly. Barry goes back to the city. Iris is fending off an ice giant with the heatwave gun,
which I did like. I like that Iris is resourceful enough to go to the Flash.
Oh yeah,
and grab one of Heatwave's guns. I was like, okay, that's cool, but yeah, no, and then just kind of ends.
Yeah, it's like they kiss, and it's like he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go off to help Justice League. Okay, continues in Superman Endless Winter special. Okay, and maybe they get away with that because they know they're out on the same day, and we just go to the next one. But it's kind of weird.
It is. No, it definitely is. But no, I mean, other than that, it was a really solid issue, and I'm impressed with how cohesive it is because, and I get it, they're just writing these like their chapters in Endless Winter, and they're slotting in. So like the next one is going to be an Aquaman, right? So I'm sure that'll be Aquaman's perspective of Endless Winter, but it'll still
move the story,
push the story forward, which is kind of refreshing with like Metal, where Metal we have the one spine, and then all these superfluous, I had to say that slow, kind of tie-ins that some land, some don't. Here, thus far, it all lands.
To be fair with Metal, I think most of them have. I think there's only been a couple that have been weak.
I guess I don't know. I'm just kind of at my I don't say width there, but
I think they're both valid ways of doing things. It's nice that if we're going to have both of these running simultaneously, I like that this is doing it completely differently.
And that's my point because when it comes to these type of events, it's very copy paste. When it comes to different things, like especially Marvel does the same kind of thing with endless tie-ins and then a spine book. So it's nice that this is different, that there is still room for both.
I will say I am happy that the Barry and Iris chemistry here felt right, because one of the complaints of the fill-in arc was that Barry and Iris' dialogue and relationship felt really weird and like it was from a different... It felt like they'd been dating for like 3 weeks the way they were talking to each other. It was very odd.
Don't like that.
So I'm glad that this is this feels normal again. I will say I wasn't in love with the main art in this. This not quite my style, I guess. There's something about Henry's like heads and the way his characters smile I don't always love.
And that's very Clayton Henry. When he's in action, it always looks good. But when they're still, because that was my problem when he did the weekly with Gail Simone, was like Flash in action, great. Flash standing there, kind of weird. So no, I get that. He also, the long heads in Batman Superman was always a little bit weird. So, but at least he's consistent with it, I will say.
Definitely.
It makes it part of his style.
It's definitely consistent because I've had the exact same problem with everything I've seen him do. So, I mean, I'll admit, I'd forgot. It's just that sort of thing where I don't necessarily remember who everyone is immediately, but as soon as I saw the heads, I'm like, oh, it's this guy. This is who Henry is. All right, what are you giving Flash 767?
So I'm gonna give this one an 8. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well. Like I did, just because I thought, like, again, cohesive story going forward. The art didn't bother me as much as it bothered you, and it was just it's a fun read. I'm looking forward to Endless Winter every week.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a solid 7. I think it's a fine second chapter. I like what it's teasing story-wise. Didn't love the art, though, and the ending's a bit abrupt and weird. But I enjoy the world building, the building of, like, this is going on, everywhere's covered in the snow. Because that's what happened at the end of the first issue, is that, the world, got this endless winter. So, yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging the building.